is up, guys? DT Ninja here for you guys my RuroKen Hokkaido Arc Chapter 50 discussion. Alright, guys. A big thanks to Chris JP20 for his awesome color scans as always. I hope you guys enjoyed that special intro. Now, if you haven't already, definitely check out my review. I've left the link in the description. Yeah, so this chapter, obviously, we got Itakura Byakuya being surrounded in the open air prison by a, just a massive army of soldiers. The military is going after Itakura, and he responds by fighting back, right? And we get to see his power unleashed, and the whole landscape changes, right? We also get to see Amachi and some of his abilities, so we're going to touch on that in this discussion. Also, we do get to see Anji, and he has a new sword, so we're going to talk about that. And finally, we see the rest of the group, Kenshin's group. They arrive on the battlefield to fight Itakura face to face. So that was a pretty cool face-off towards the end. But yeah, let's get to the discussion. Number one, what is an Ikitozen? Okay, so if you type in Ikitozen on Google, you'll find a bunch of schoolgirls in short skirts fighting martial arts. This was a 2000s series, and it was called Battle Vixens. That's not what I'm talking about. However, that concept of the word, that is where it comes from. So Ikitozen literally means a knight or warrior with the strength of 1,000 knights or warriors. So it's someone that has a lot of power. Now, when I think of an Ikitozen, Guts from Berserk comes to mind. Remember when he fought an entire army by himself? And this was in the early stages, the Golden Age arc, right? This was in the early stages of his development. He was fighting like massive amount of people all at once. That would be an Ikitozen. Right. And a lot of people got around him, right? He was inspiring people. He was, making people, afraid of him. So that, to me, is an Ikitozen. Now, I have three different definitions. We talked about the first one, and that is the Chinese legend. That means a warrior with the strength capable of defeating 1,000 men. That is the Chinese legend, or the literal translation of Ikitozen. Now, there are two other definitions, and these are by two separate, different type of characters in Kenshin. One is Itakura Byakuya, the one that's really out there, but really powerful, and just, yeah, he's out there. But he is a very interesting character. So, his definition, and he uses Ikitozen a lot, is this: a warrior born through suffering, who has been through hell and back and gained a resilient spirit. So someone that he can view as an animal spirit or another being in his fighting spirit, the special vision he has, that is an Ikitozen. And I'm going to quote him from chapter 19. He says, "Each and every one of you have been to the depths of hell in order to become an Ikitozen, and you've gained a resilient spirit or soul." So basically what I mean by that is, in order to become this Ikitozen, you have to suffer and go through hell and return a stronger man, basically is what he's saying. So to Itakura, those people are the ones that are considered Ikitozen. Okay? And he also sees Eiji. Remember when Eiji erupts in this rage, and he wants to kill Sojiro, and he's got the rifle locked, and he points it right at him. That's when he erupts, and Itakura sees that ogre inside of him releasing. That is what he means by Ikitozen. Someone that has suffered, been through hell and back, and gained some strength, the resilience of a spirit. So that is an Ikitozen. Now, Nagakura Shinpachi, however, a wise older man, he has a different definition. And surprisingly, it's in the same chapter, chapter 19, the product of hell. So a product of hell is an Ikitozen to Itakura. However, to Nagakura, he says, an Ikitozen is not a monster or warrior who is capable of defeating 1,000 men. No. He says it is someone who appears and can inspire 1,000 new allies. So in other words, you can create new allies and they're inspired by you, right? And so they basically join your side. And at the same time, you make 1,000 enemies fear you. So this is saying like 1,000 enemies tremble in fear of you. So that's very interesting. Nowhere in that definition does he say warrior. So anyways, chapter 19, he does talk about some of these Ikitozen, and one of them is Hijikata Toshizo, right? The vice commander of the Shinsengumi, and I highly agree with him. Yes, so that is definitely an Ikitozen, a leader, someone is highly respected but also feared as the demon vice commander, right? So yeah, someone who exemplifies a leader but also can make someone tremble in fear. Number 2 was Saigo Takamori. This was the last samurai, someone who was also very inspiring, someone who was honorable, someone who died for what they believe in. This is another Ikitozen. The third one was Takasugi Shinsaku. This was one of the very highly important people in the Chosu faction alongside Kenshin, who, that's who found Kenshin, right? To become an assassin. But yes, that person is also considered an Ikitozen. These are Nagakura's picks as an Ikitozen. So, my next question, which characters do you think are Ikitozen? So, my picks would be definitely Hijikata Toshizo. Okay, we know enough about him to definitely say that those fit, Number 2, I would definitely say Nagakura Shinpachi. The guy, we saw him in chapter 46. He's fighting a losing war with the Shinsengumi, but he's just defeating everyone around him, and everyone that is with him is going along with him. Even though they're losing, he's basically saying, we can do this, guys. He's inspiring others, but also he's making his enemies fear him. So I feel like he definitely represents that, an Ikitozen. Let's see. Number 3, Kenshin Himura. Okay, come on. Batosai, right? Batosai, the manslayer, Hitokiri Batosai, Kenshin Himura. They're one and the same, but one is feared and one is respected. Definitely Kenshin Himura. Just look at the names that he's changed. The people that he's come across and inspired, but also put fear in their eyes, right? Next one, Hajime Saito, definitely. Hajime Saito, he works for the police department, but also he has the mindset of the wolf, the Mibu's, of Shinsengumi. So I definitely agree. He's got the leadership, qualities, but also he's got that killer instinct. So yeah, he's feared, but also respected, I feel. Nagakura respects him, I know that. And yeah, so I definitely would say Saito. Next one, Makoto Shishio. Okay, I know he's in it. I know he's a villain, but at the same time, the guy could inspire other people. Whatever he was talking about, his philosophy, people believed it. People could understand him. People could, relate to him. So yes, definitely Makoto Shishio. Look at Sojiro. Look at Anji. These people were very strong, but they related to him. So yes, I definitely think Makoto Shishio. Yeah, so those are my picks. Those are my thoughts on Ikitozen. What are your picks for Ikitozen? You can leave them down in the comments if you want. Okay, number 3. What does Amachi's ability look like? So I can't really go into detail about what his ability does because honestly, I'm translating it right now, and what it looks like, it's like an innate ability that only he can harness. So I'm not going to say it's magic, but it's more of a sense inside that just comes to him. So when we get to chapter 54, which we will, I'll go more in depth with it, but that's basically what it is. But I'll show you what it looks like. So in chapter 8, we saw the circular zodiac. Well, I have a kind of diagram that shows what it is. It shows all the kanji, and it shows where the direction for each one is. So I'm going to show you Hitsuji, which is sheep, and then I'm going to show you why it's 210 degrees and why it is the direction it is. So I want you to take a look at this, and you guys can see how he's using direction and why Gongu is able to know these directions. So take a look. All right, guys. So as you can see, it's very elaborate, right? I mean, if you were to say sheep, like, okay, you could use the clock, but at the same time, there's like a 2 hour window there, so it'd be very confusing. So it makes perfect sense why he would use a direction like north or southwest or east, or just different directions and degrees to tell where he is, right, or where the actual attack is coming from. So it's very interesting. But I will say this, it does involve something like feng shui. I've always been fascinated by that kind of thing, but some people might be thrown off and just think it's magic. But anyways, when we get to that chapter, I will discuss further. Okay, the last discussion question. I know this is a shorter discussion, but this one is very, very interesting. What is the Sankoken? This is Anji's new sword that is shown in the new chapter. This is the new sword. Yes, he always had a dagger, but if you look at the hilt, it's changed. The hilt has changed on his sword, and I talked about this in my review. The Sankoken is the Trident Vajra Blade. Okay, I think I might just leave it as Sankoken because it sounds cooler, and that's the name. It's actually not translated. I think it's translated as three-pronged Vajra. I think that's the actual translation, like the literal translation. But anyways, it's also called a trident because it's got 3 prongs. What is the Sankoken? Basically, the Vajra, or the hilt, we're talking about this one. So on this page here, where Anji first is introduced back, and we see him come to the rescue of the military, the soldiers, we see him grab the Sankoken. This is his dagger. Now, if you look closely, you'll see the Vajra. The Vajra is the hilt. Okay, this is the 3-pronged Vajra right here. And why is there some script there? Well, I'm going to answer both those questions. So, first question, Vajra is a ritualistic weapon that represents indestructibility and an irresistible moving force. So, something coming at you, this is supposed to represent strength that can basically put you up against a resistant force. So, but anyways, the Vajra itself is ritualistic, and that's because it is the weapon and sword of a Kalanatha. A Kalanatha is the wrathful god that Anji is shown above Anji in the fight with Sanosuke. You'll see him. You'll see the wrathful god, and he's holding the sword, and you'll see the Vajra, the hilt of the blade. That is the same thing in Anji's new sword. This is the Vajra right here. So a Kalanatha. Let's take a look at a Kalanatha here. Okay, so first you guys can see that is a Kalanatha. Now let's take a look at an actual picture of a Kalanatha. So take a look. Okay, so the first one was from the manga. The second one was from an actual statue. So yeah, it's a Buddhist statue, obviously. But yeah, it represents power, obviously. It represents force, an irresistible force. So Vajra literally means thunderbolt. So that's why it's shaped like a 3-pronged trident. Okay, so yeah. Anyways, the Vajra, very interesting ritualistic weapon. Now, like going back to the next question, what is the script? What is this special word? I never translated it. What does it mean? Well, it is Akala's written language. It literally says, or it literally is a seed symbol that represents Akala. Okay, so it is literally saying it's from Akala. So that's literally what it's saying here. It is the weapon of Akala. That's basically what it's saying. So, but that's pretty cool. I like how it's showing that he's got development in his weapon as well. He had like a simple dagger before. It was still cool, but it wasn't a ritualistic weapon like the person that he was basically worshiping, right? So anyway, pretty cool. And you'll also see it when he uses this. And this is the technique, the shockwave, the Rikushin. Now, as I said, the new sword is also part of a redesign. So a redesign is something you see in Kanzenban. So what's cool about this is the Kanzenban, the original Japanese, you can take off the flaps here, the slip cover, and you can see new designs. Okay, that's Hanya, pretty cool. And then you can see others as well in the Oniwaban. Well, in volume 10, you can see Anji. And Anji has this sword. He has the same exact sword. So what I've done is I've taken that scan and I put this exact one next to it so you can see how it relates to it. So they're basically adding that redesign into Hokkaido, which I find really cool. And it basically states that it's a Kalanatha's blade. So he basically stated that, but it also states that his long range attack that he stabs into the earth and sends the Shaka, the Futai no Kiwami, it's also called Rikushin. So this is also from the redesign. So these are two things he added to Anji's character and also the Hokkaido arc. So take a look at this scan that I edited and you can see the differences, and it just shows how he adapted it into Hokkaido. Really neat. Take a look. All right, guys. So as you can see, pretty cool, right? I mean, like this is something that he had planned to do in the future at some point, or maybe, like I said, Hanya never became a thing. But I'm glad that some of these things have become a thing. So who knows? Maybe Aoshi will have something from his. He hasn't come back yet, so that's a very good possibility. But yeah, I do like these new additions to Hokkaido. But yeah, anyways, Rikushin, the shockwave, that is a long distance technique. It was originally stated by Watsuki in the redesign notes, so that I showed you. So pretty cool. So that's pretty much what I got for you guys for the discussion. It was pretty short as far as number of questions, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I will come out with a new review next week, chapter 51, and we're going to get to the battles. So we'll see you guys in the next one.